Over the vast period of recorded time, ancient civilizations have echoed repetitively, and without mainstream belief, the ability to harness advanced technology and fly throughout the heavens. India has emerged as the catalyst that has enveloped these truths and repeatedly tried to share and enlighten the masses. These ancient Indian writings have cultivated stories that are woven into the fabric of its rich mythological tapestry, and over time have become the very truths of the world we live in today. Vimana is a word that frequently comes up in these ancient writings. In one set of sacred texts, the Vedas, it speaks of flying ships that visited this world over 6,000 years ago. It is written that these machines could take people to different places on our planet, making it possible to spread knowledge and wealth among the ancient primitive civilizations. Another reference to these vehicles can be found in the Mahabharata, which is one of the two major Sanskrit epics of ancient India. In it is written, "At Rama's behest, the magnificent chariot rose up to a mountain of a cloud with a tremendous din." And yet another passage reads, "Bhima flew with his Vimana on an enormous ray, which was as brilliant as the sun, and made a noise like the thunder of a storm." In the Ramayana, which is the second of the two Sanskrit epics, there is a Vimana described as follows. "The Pushpaka Vimana that resembles the sun and belongs to my brother was brought by the powerful Ravana. That aerial and excellent Vimana, going everywhere at will, that chariot resembling a bright cloud in the sky. And the king got in, and the excellent chariot, at the command of the Ragira, rose up into the higher atmosphere." Students of the Vedas, the Mahabharata, and the Ramayana understand that 6,000 years ago, flying ships inhabited their airways. According to ancient Indian history, one of the most extensive on our planet, these flying ships visited many places. It is written that these craft fought each other above the India sky. They were flown by the gods and defended the very truths the ancients believed. They tell of a technology that would not be seen again until recent times. The sheer power of the weapons of these flying craft could not even be imagined for another 5 millennia. Throughout written history, there are many texts which tell of first-hand encounters with these flying machines. There are the flying carpets of Arabia, Solomon's ability to travel effortlessly from distant place to distant place, Ezekiel's wheel within a wheel, and of course, these magical chariots of the gods, the Vimanas, written of by the ancient Indians as well as the ancient Chinese. Writings from Asia's past have left us with many recollections of these aerial phenomena. The reference to the Vimana that can be found in the ancient epic Ramayana tells of the Pushpaka Vimana of King Ravana and is the most quoted example. It had been captured from Lord Kubera, but was eventually returned back to him by King Rama, one of the most popular avatars of Vishnu. He is the preserver, the triple deity of supreme divinity that includes Brahma and Shiva. These craft were said to be able to fly into space and also into the depths of any body of water. The Rig Veda would speak of mechanical birds and is the oldest known Vedic Sanskrit text, which is among the oldest writings of the Indo-European language, and also one of the 4 sacred canonical Hindu texts of the Vedas. They are defined as the oldest holy books in Hinduism and thought to be dictated by Brahma, the creator, to wise men who eventually wrote them down. They were written in the Indus River Valley during the Bronze Age between 3300 BCE and 1300 BCE. Together with ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia, they were the 3 earliest civilizations, one of North Africa, one of Southwest Asia, and one of South Asia. Of the three, it was the most widespread, with sites spanning an area including much of modern-day Pakistan, northwestern India, and northeast Afghanistan. The four divisions of the Veda are, first, the Rig Veda, which is considered the oldest sacred book of Hinduism and is associated with the path of knowledge. It is a collection of 1,028 Vedic Sanskrit hymns. The second is the Yajur Veda, which is also known as the Veda of sacrificial formulas. This text contains prose mantras for worship and various rituals. Samaveda, the third book of the Vedas, is the shortest of the four Vedas. It was compiled around 900 BCE, although some of its material is most likely older. It is a liturgical text which consists of 1,875 verses. The fourth book of the Vedas, the Atharva Veda, is known as the Veda of magical formulas. It is a collection of 20 books containing hymns, chants, spells, and prayers. It involves issues such as healing illnesses, prolonging life, black magic, and rituals removing maladies and anxieties. Unlike the other three books, the Atharva Veda is not concerned with sacred rituals, but addresses the daily problems of the Vedic people. The Vedas teach three paths to salvation: Jnana, which is knowledge, Bhakti, which is devotion, and Karma, which is action. These are the foundation of the Hindu religion. Hinduism's understanding of time is as grandiose as time itself. While most cultures base their cosmologies on familiar units such as hundreds or thousands of years, the Hindu concept of time embraces billions and trillions of years. Hindu sages describe time as cyclic, an endless procession of creation, preservation, and dissolution. Scientists such as Carl Sagan have expressed amazement at the accuracy of space and time descriptions given by the ancient rishis, who fathomed the secrets of the universe through their mystically awakened senses. European scholarship regards human civilization as a recent progression, starting yesterday with the Fiji Islander and ending today with Rockefeller, conceiving ancient culture as necessarily a half-savage culture. It is a superstition of modern thought that the march of knowledge has always been linear. Our vision of prehistory is terribly inadequate. We have not yet rid our minds from the hold of a one and only God or one and only book, and now a one and only science. A quote written by Sri Aurobindo Ghosh, who lived from 1872 until 1950. He is considered the most original philosopher of modern India. The Mahabharata, the first of two ancient Sanskrit texts that were written over 3,000 years ago, contains a reference to a terrible weapon. Regrettably, in our age of the atomic bomb, the description of the weapon exploding will not appear to be an exaggeration. The description is this: a blazing shaft possessed of the effulgence of a smokeless fire was let off. That is how this weapon was perceived. The consequences of its use also evoke involuntary associations. This makes the bodies of the dead unidentifiable. The survivors lose their nails and hair, and their food becomes unfit for eating. For several subsequent years, the sun, the stars, and the sky remain shrouded with clouds and bad weather. This weapon was known as the weapon of Brahma, or the flame of Indra. In Mausala Parva Book 8 of the Mahabharata, it is written, "The unknown weapon is radiant lightning, a devastating messenger of death, which turned all the relation of Vrishni and Andaka to ashes. Their calcined bodies were unrecognizable. Those who escaped lost their hair and nails. Crockery broke without cause. Birds turned white. In a very short time, food was poisonous. The lightning subsided and became fine ash." This wonderful epic of Ramayana, the second ancient Sanskrit, which is an inspiration, for some of the world's great classic literature, intrigues us most today by its frequent allusions to aerial vehicles and annihilating bombs. It's the students of Sanskrit literature that soon revise their preconceived ideas and find that the heroes of ancient India were apparently equipped with aircraft and missiles more sophisticated than those we boast today. This statement was written by Walter Raymond Drake, who published 9 books describing the evidence of ancient aircraft. The Ramayana chronicles the hero Rama's adventures. He was believed to be an incarnation of Lord Vishnu. He was raised to be a brave and honest warrior capable of vanquishing demons and was expected to marry the most beautiful woman. The story takes a turn when Rama's stepmother, Kaikeyi, exiles him to the forest for 14 years. There is a demonic king, Ravana, who wishes to control the world using terror along with the terrible power he wields. He then mounts trouble for Rama by kidnapping his wife. The Vimana is crafted by Lord Vishwakarma for the Hindu creation god Brahma. Later on, Brahma presents it to Kubera, the god of wealth, but it was soon stolen by his half-brother, King Ravana. The Pushpaka Vimana is soon brought by the king, and it resembles the sun. Rama was able to get the machine, and realizing that the craft moved at the will of the pilot, he moved to a higher altitude in order to save his lovely wife. In his final battle with Rakshasa Emperor Ravana, Rama unleashes the Brahmastra, a weapon he had used in several previous unmatched battles. After the weapon was released, it would devastate its target, making it barren and wiping out all life in the area. The Brahmastra would showcase the same destruction as the bomb on Hiroshima or Nagasaki. It would annihilate. It was as if the elements had been unleashed. The sun spun around in circles. Scorched by the fearful heat of the weapon, the world reeled. Elephants were burnt by the incandescent heat and ran wildly to and fro. Water boiled, animals died. The raging fire made the trees topple like ninepins, as if in a forest fire. Horses and chariots were destroyed, then deep silence descended. It was a ghastly sight to see. The corpses of the fallen were mutilated by the frightful heat that they no longer looked like human beings. Never before have we seen such an awful weapon. This first-hand account from the Mahabharata cannot be dismissed as a pointless myth, nor can we acclaim that the author had only a poetic imagination. In January of 1992, a news report was published in the World Island Review concerning the discovery of a 3-mile area of radioactive ash in Rajasthan, located 10 miles west of Jodhpur. A nuclear power plant recently built was thought to be the culprit, but a 5-member scientific team, headed by Project Foreman Lee Hundley, which had been dispatched to study the mystery, found a different source. They eventually unearthed the charred remains of buildings thought to be at least 8 to 12 millennia old, which were once inhabited by as many as 500,000 people. The prehistoric city had all the appearance and the telltale radioactive residue of having been destroyed by a nuclear weapon that the scientists estimated to have been about the same size as the one that had destroyed Hiroshima in 1945. Archaeologist Francis Taylor, in a follow-up to the initial discovery, found wall engravings and text in a nearby temple which depicted the local people as praying to be spared from the great light that was on the way to destroy their city. The inscriptions appeared to have been copied from older sources going back several thousand years. It is notable to mention that at the time the ancient city destroyed in Rajasthan, circa 12,000 years ago, there was also an increase in trace copper, tin, and lead in ice cores from around the world, indicative of huge amounts of pollutants suddenly being thrown into the upper atmosphere and circulated around the globe. as well as an increase in uranium concentrations in coral growth from 1.5 parts per million to over 4 parts per million. Paleoclimatologists have never been able to explain these increases as a natural occurrence.